think he is fair game because his presidency was really considered to be very troubled, to put it mildly, because of all of the things that she's talking to me about. I mean, she's mentioning sexism. He'll come under attack, not just from me. He'll be coming under attack from many other people.
All right, Donald Trump didn't stop there, though. This morning, he was out tweeting, quote, if Hillary thinks she can unleash her husband with his terrible record of women abuse while playing the women's card on me, she's wrong. Is Trump right? Is Bill Clinton fair game? Former Bush Deputy Assistant Brad Blakeman thinks so. Syndicated radio talk show host Leslie Marshall has a view as well. Good to have both you guys here. Thanks. Welcome. Good to see you. Leslie, this could get interesting. I mean, you could have a situation where they kind of both exercise the nuclear option on each other. Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, that is. What do you think?
Well, I think Bill Clinton would win. I mean, Donald Trump may say things and be very sensationalistic, and his poll ratings go up. But Bill Clinton's not running, and I think Donald Trump's got to remember that. And Bill Clinton is not Hillary. He's her husband. I don't know about you, Trish, but my husband and I sometimes have very different ideas and ways of doing things. Bill Clinton is also a brilliant speaker, a brilliant orator, and I think he's far more brilliant than Donald Trump. So I think Donald Trump better be careful which bear he pokes, because I think Bill Clinton could definitely give him a run for his money.
I got to tell you, if James started pulling in the Bill Clinton stuff, it would be over, baby. I mean, I think, and that's sort of where Trump wants to hit, Brad, because you got to say, and I look at it this way as a woman, look, who am I to judge people's personal lives? But at the same time, Hillary Clinton was willing to basically destroy any woman that her husband took advantage of. And she did so for the sake of her own family, for his sake, for her sake, for their political sake. And God help any of these women that effectively got in the way. And let's keep in mind, not their fault, Bill's fault.
Absolutely, but that's their modus operandi, is covering for each other and enabling each other, and that's exactly what Hillary Clinton has done. It's an arrangement more than a marriage, and let me say, at least the appearance of it. But let me say this to Donald Trump. While Bill Clinton may be fair game, there are two things you should take into consideration. One of them is, and you like polls, so you love this one, Bill Clinton polls higher than Trump does and higher than Hillary does. So by poking somebody who's more populist than you are is a danger. Number two is, there are literally millions of new voters who weren't alive when Bill Clinton was president. This doesn't register at all with them. So how effective is your attack going to be on somebody who's popular and in an audience who doesn't even remember this happening?
Hey, Leslie, is there a chance that he's just kind of testing the waters on this one, just sort of throwing that out there? I mean, we've seen Donald Trump do this before, right? He just kind of tosses something out, sees what happens before he doubles down on it. Is this perhaps part of his strategy?
I honestly think that this man wakes up in the morning and, much like somebody would throw pasta at the wall to see if it's ready to serve an al dente, he says, okay, what is the craziest, most outlandish thing, while he's taking a shower? And he comes out and he says, I got it. I'm going to attack Bill Clinton. I'm going to attack her husband. I don't think Donald Trump takes advice from his team at all. I think he does what he wants. I think he's the decider on this campaign. And quite frankly, I'm not surprised, although this is ridiculous, because this not only gets away from the issues, this isn't even a candidate, and it feeds into sexism, because this is a candidate's husband.
It may not be that ridiculous. I mean, he's taken us off on these tangents before and been quite successful in his poll numbers when he does. So, that said, I don't know if it's all that crazy. I think that there might be something here. I may disagree with both of you on this. I mean, Brad, you say that voters are too young to remember all this. I wonder, though, if it becomes a much bigger and bigger issue, if all this stuff gets, dragged up about Bill Clinton again, if in fact it'll start to sway some people.
I don't think so. I really don't. We've seen this before in 2008.
That is right. I mean, he got impeached, right?
That's true.
And he still remains popular.
And Hillary's running for president, and I think I agree with you, Tricia. I think he's dipping his toe in the water. I think he'll retreat. I think where Hillary's really vulnerable is the FBI investigation. She's under a full criminal investigation. What if she's indicted? What happens to the Democrats? They put all their eggs in that basket, and it's blown up.
Now,
then what do they do?
That's a good question. What would happen, Leslie? What would happen if she was, in fact, indicted? Does that mean Joe Biden's going to emerge from the wings?
Honestly, I don't think she'll be indicted. If she were indicted, well, you do have Bernie Sanders. You do have definitely Joe Biden. And Democrats, I'm sure, have plans, even though I'm one of them, and I'm not privy to the B, C, and D of the plans, but I think Biden would be the B. And Bernie is another B that is already out there.
Oh,
but I do agree with
really
Brad on this
Bernie?
because
A socialist? I mean, as a Democrat yourself, I mean, Bernie Sanders?
Look, I love Senator Sanders, but I've said to him, you're not going to win in a general election. And one of the reasons that I support Hillary, and I've said that I support Hillary all along, I supported her when she was running against Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton can win in a general election, and Bernie Sanders can't. And that's what I tell my fellow Democrats. You have to bet on the horse that's going to win. You may not always like their outfit, but you need to vote for the horse that's going to win.
All right, you guys don't go anywhere. We got lots more to talk about. I'll see you a little bit later in the show. Thank you so much, Brad and Leslie. Okay, we are just about... All right, Democrats are splitting from the White House. Starting next month, the Department of Homeland Security will start nationwide raids to deport adults and children who have already been ordered by an immigration judge to leave the country. Leslie Marshall and Brad Blakeman are still here with me. And Leslie, you know, a lot of liberals are pretty outraged by this. Are you?
Yes, because I think here are a couple of things. First of all, I think we look at this time of year that we spend with families. This is something that we've been outraged about, and proposals that come from people like candidates like Donald Trump. The target here is the problem, which are the families, not to go after employers of these people that come here and without these employment opportunities wouldn't be here. Two, what about the visas that expire and that program being enforced? Those are laws already on the books that are not being enforced. And lastly, the terminology, door-to-door, siege, these are very dangerous words, especially for liberal Democrats. So I concur with that. I don't believe that people should break the law, and I do believe the law should be enforced, but I don't believe the target here is accurate.
Well, you mentioned people shouldn't break the law and the law should be enforced. I mean, in this particular case, you've got a judge who has told people, you got to leave the country, you're being deported, but they're choosing not to leave. I mean, Brad, what do you do if you're the judge who says, hey, you know, get out of town, and someone doesn't do it? If you're not going to enforce the law of the land, then why have it? Exactly
right. My admonition to the Obama administration is, what took you so long, Mr. President? You ran on a platform back in 2007 and 8 of immigration reform. In fact, you promised it in your inaugural address that would be one of the first things you tackled, and then nothing happened up until now with regard to removing those who have overstayed their welcome. And what good is a law if it is not honored? I, as a citizen, must follow the law. And guess what? If you're a guest of our country, you better follow the law, and you better know that there are going to be consequences if you don't. But this president reacts. And good leadership prevents problems. It doesn't react to problems. And the president now is acting off what you've heard from Donald Trump and others, the outrage now of Americans, whether Republican or Democrat.
Leslie, this could actually, I think, help Hillary Clinton, and it could help Bernie Sanders quite a bit. Because, I mean, just think about the graphic images here, you know, tearing families apart and bringing kids, you know, back across the border. No one's going to like that. I mean, and there are many other ways to deal with this problem, as Brad says, should have been dealt with, but now it's coming to this. And, you know, you hate to reduce things to politics, but that is such the world we live in. I think politically, this gives the edge to Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, because a lot of Democrats are going to say, okay, enough. And a lot of immigrants that are here now legally and can vote are going to say, we don't like this. What do you think? Leslie.
Well, I think it does give the opportunity. As we have already certainly seen and heard from Senator Sanders, that I believe will more so from Hillary going forward, to their distance between the president, and also how do they differ from the president? Because for those that don't like a Barack Obama presidency, but maybe they like a Democrat or they're shopping for a candidate, they might look to Hillary or Bernie, but not like the alliance and the relationship because they are Democrats. So this does help to distance them from that. And I think, quite frankly, this puts Obama, in a sense, on the same page as some of the things that Donald Trump has proposes, as I said earlier. And that's a problem, not just for liberal Democrats, but for a lot of Americans, and as you spoke to, Hispanics who are here in this country legally or
yeah,
are
but
born
it's not
here.
like Hispanics are suddenly going to say, okay, now I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because I don't like what Obama's doing.
True.
I mean, as long as Bernie and Hillary come out and say, we don't like this and we're going to offer something different. And you're right. I mean, it puts her in a bad spot because she's got to be out there against the White House. But if she's able to do that successfully, Brad, who's the advantage go to?
I think the advantage goes to the Republicans, and here's why. We're pointing out the fact that the president's been late to the game, and he's only doing what now the public is crying out for, which Republicans raised. And Republicans have to be careful because they can't go too far and not seem like they're compassionate to the people who are here. There are 12 million here, and quite frankly, our government was complicit in them coming here by having porous borders and work.
But, you know, if I'm Bernie Sanders or I'm Hillary Clinton, I'm going to say, hey, yeah, you've seen those deportations on TV. You're going to have more of those if Donald Trump comes into office. I mean, isn't that the card that she would or should play?
Yeah, and that's good for the primary, but that's not very good for a general electorate. So you have to be selected by the party before you're elected by the people. If the object is to get elected by the people, be where the people are.
Go ahead, Leslie.
Well, the people are, if you look at the polls, and even if you just talk to people, as I do on my radio show, the concern that they have with the undocumented workers is even more than breaking the law or jobs picking lettuce and grapes. What they have an issue with is security and safety, terrorism, murder, violent crimes. These families that the feds are going to knock on the door of are not guilty of any of that. And the people that have committed these crimes are overwhelmingly here legally or even born in this country. Those are the undocumented workers that need to be addressed first and foremost. And so I think, although it's a fence that you have to straddle in a sense for Hillary, I think it can be done very well, and it benefits her more than Republicans, because no Republican I know wants to see families ripped apart, even if they've overstayed their welcome, and that's why they want immigration reform to have some kind of a pathway to citizenship.
It's an incredibly challenging issue. You know, there are so many hardworking people that want to come here to better their lives, to better their families' lives, and we need them. But, you know, at the same time, you know, you see things like what happened in San Francisco with Kate Steinle's murder. You see the stress that our nation is under when confronting the terror threat, and it makes this all extremely complicated. It means we do need immigration reform. We need to be vigilant about who we're letting in. We need to offer people opportunity that want to succeed, that want to help themselves and come to this country. But indeed, it's an incredibly complicated topic, one that we will be hearing a lot more about. Leslie and Brad, thank you so much. We're going to hear a lot about it in South Carolina at our next Fox Business debate.